All right, so let's dive right into this one. Echoes of identity. This story just throws you right into this whole world of amnesia, like
Yeah.
intrigue, government conspiracies, you name it.
Yeah, it really grabs you from that first scene. Lieutenant Flynn Pearson. I mean, the guy wakes up and is like
Yeah.
nothing, no memory,
Yeah.
and the place is exploding around him. Talk about a harsh start to your day, right?
Totally. I mean, I guess you could say it's kind of a classic amnesia, like, trope, but the way the author writes it, it's so immediate, that urgency. You're right there with Flynn, feeling that confusion, that panic as he's trying to escape. And then, just when you think it can't get any crazier, we meet Agent Smith. This, like, shadowy figure just dropping these little hints, enough to make you curious, but, holding back a lot, too.
Yeah, and that's what makes that opening so good. You're instantly wondering, who is this Agent Smith guy? What's he hiding? What does he know about Flynn?
Yeah.
And, like, the biggest question, can we trust him?
Right. And the story keeps throwing curveballs at you. You get these flashes of what Flynn can do, these like enhanced abilities. It's hinted that he's, not just some regular soldier, like he's been turned into a weapon, some kind of super soldier.
Yeah.
And they messed with his memories to do it for someone else's plan.
Yeah, that's a chilling thought. Imagine someone could just rewrite your memories, use it as like a control thing. Like, this story really makes you think about the ethics of
Yeah.
that kind of technology.
Yeah.
What does free will even mean if someone can tinker with your memories? Are you even really you anymore?
Definitely something that sticks with you as you read. And right when you think you're starting to get a handle on things, boom, we're introduced to the masterminds behind all this. You've got the mad scientist, and then there's the brainiac.
Yeah. Even their names just scream like, we're brilliant, but also we might not care so much about, people. They're like the poster children for what happens when ambition goes unchecked, when knowledge is just a tool for bad stuff.
100%. Even though you only see them briefly, it's obvious that they're not content with just wiping Flynn's memory. They've gone and planted new directives in there, turning him into, essentially, a walking weapon.
Right.
And we don't even know who it's pointed at. Talk about betrayal, right?
Yeah, and here's where the story takes this really interesting turn. I mean, Flynn, he's not just some mindless puppet, right? He starts having these flashes of his past, triggered by really ordinary stuff, like the smell of antiseptic from a lab or the sound of machines humming.
I was so drawn to that, how those little details, those senses become these keys, unlocking those lost memories. It just shows you how connected our senses are to what we remember. It shapes our whole view of the world and of ourselves, I think.
And it's not that far-fetched, actually. There are real cases
Mm-hmm.
of people with amnesia, and they start getting these bits of their past back, just from a smell or sound exactly like that. And I think that's what the author is doing, grounding these wilder parts of the story in something real. Makes Flynn's struggle just that much more relatable, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Gives it that extra layer of believability, even with the espionage and the sci-fi elements. So we've got Flynn struggling with his memories, but also being driven by instinct, by this need to know the truth. And that leads him to a safe house with Agent Smith, of course. And that's where things get really interesting. He finds a dossier, this file full of classified stuff, and it's all about his past missions.
Oh, yeah, that dossier, that's like a turning point in the whole thing. It's not just there to, like, dump information on you. It's like it kicks off Flynn's self-discovery. Every report he reads, he's not just learning about what he did. He's piecing together who he is, bit by bit.
Exactly. It's like this puzzle, but the pieces are memories, and every time you think you see the picture, it changes.
And then you start to see what the amnesia is really doing to Flynn, like psychologically. Imagine being flooded with all this information, but it's just facts. No emotion. You read about your own life, but feel nothing. It'd be its own kind of torture.
It's like you're reading about someone else's life, all the facts are there, but it's missing that personal connection, that feeling that you were actually there.
Exactly. And that's what creates this inner struggle in Flynn. He's drawn to these glimpses of his past, but also scared of them,
He wants to know who he was, but what if it's not someone he likes?
Right. And that question, it just hangs over everything as the story moves on.
Yeah.
And speaking of moving on, all those clues, they lead Flynn and Agent Smith right back to where this all started, that high security lab.
Ooh, that's where the whole atmosphere of the book changes, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. That lab, it's like this symbol of science gone wrong, this really tangible representation of how messed up Flynn's mind is. Every hallway, every room, it's like another piece of his past that he's forgotten.
Like the lab itself is designed to trigger those memories.
Yeah, exactly. And as if the mental torture wasn't enough,
Yeah.
that's when things really explode. Action-packed.
Here come the villains we love to hate, right? Right.
Oh yeah, the mad scientist and the brainiac are ready for a showdown.
And it does not disappoint. The author really knows how to build suspense, you know? It all leads up to this climax, this fight, that's both physical and emotional. We see Flynn's training come out, those instincts he's buried deep down, fighting just to stay alive.
It's like his body remembers what his mind can't access anymore, you know?
It's kind of poetic, in a way, even with his memory messed up. Flynn's skills, his instincts, they shine through. It makes you think about how strong the human spirit really is.
Totally. Like, even when someone tries to manipulate you, some parts of who you are, they stay. They're just a part of you.
Like you're not just defined by your experiences, there's more to it.
Right. But of course, the mad scientist and the brainiac,
Yeah.
they're not going to make it easy. Just when it seems like Flynn's winning, bam, they hit him with the phase-changing gas reveal.
Whoa, and that's when the story takes this dark turn. I mean, having your memories messed with is one thing, but to find out your face isn't even yours, that cuts deep to your core identity.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's a twist I did not see coming. It's like, what even defines us? Is it our memories? How we look? Something deeper?
It's a question I'm still thinking about. And, the author doesn't give you any easy answers.
Right. Echoes of identity really makes you work for it. That's what makes it so good, though.
It really does. But in all of this, Flynn, he has a choice. He could just give in to all the craziness, try to forget everything, disappear. But he doesn't. He chooses to remember, to pick up those shattered pieces of his life and fight for the right to define himself.
Such an important choice. It's like he's reclaiming his story, even though it's broken. Shows how much we need to understand our past, even when it's painful. It's how we know where we're going.
It's like, yeah, he's been through the ringer, but he comes out stronger.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's not all sunshine and roses. The author doesn't let you off that easy. Even though Flynn's fighting to get his past back, there's this lingering doubt. The mad scientist and the brainiac, they're gone, but they left their mark.
That face-changing gas, it's a constant reminder of everything that happened. Like, even if he gets his real face back, will he ever really feel whole again?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you really separate your looks from, who you are inside? It's tough. And the author leaves you thinking about that as Flynn goes on this new mission. He's got to find all those vials of gas, make sure nobody else goes through what he did.
It's a pretty powerful goal. And it's coming from this place of, self-preservation, but also this sense of purpose. He's not just doing it for himself anymore. It's for all the other people who might get caught up in this messed up tech.
Exactly. And that's what I love. It's like Flynn went through hell and back, but he comes out of it changed. He understands himself better, and now he's fighting for something bigger.
Definitely an inspiring journey. But you're right. The story doesn't just wrap everything up perfectly.
Nope. It leaves you with this feeling that the fight isn't really over.
Yeah, even though the mad scientist and the brainiac are gone, that tech is still out there. It's a threat that's not going away.
And that's what gets you thinking. In a world where technology is getting crazier by the day, how do we protect something as basic as, who we are, our identity?
It's a heavy thought, for sure. And it sticks with you long after you finish the book. We really went deep on echoes of identity today, didn't we?
We did. It's a wild ride, that's for sure. Memory manipulation, government conspiracies, identity crises, you name it.
But more than anything, I think it makes you think about what identity even means.
Absolutely.
Lily.
In a world where someone can steal your memories, steal your face, what makes you, you?
Boot.
It's a question we all got to ask ourselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. This story, it really digs into the core of who we are. And it reminds us, no matter what the world throws at us, that fight for our own identity, for our own truth, it's always worth it. Until next time, keep those minds open and questioning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.